journalist turned filmmaker Kanchan Pant had absolutely no idea what filmmaking was when she decided to make her first feature film. As it turned out, that lack of knowledge offered her a blank canvas to create her award winning feature, Dear Latika. The film captures slices of life in the Himalayan Indian state of Uttarakhand beyond its obvious beauty and offers insights into the culture of those who live in the looming presence of the Himalayan mountains. Dear Latika, which is about a simple, optimistic young woman confronting challenges of adulthood, has received critical acclaim as well as the Best Director's Award at Spain's Imagine India International Film Festival. Apart from Dear Latika, Kanchan has made one short film, written over 300 stories, authored two books, and made a documentary series. She spoke to Mayank Chhaya Reports from New Delhi. Welcome to Mayank Chhaya Reports, Kanchan. It's a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Mayank ji. So glad to be here.
And please drop the G in it. Mayank is just fine. I'm always curious how a journalist who has obviously a lot of liberal worldview, who also has artistic sides to a lot of journalists do. How did you come to be a filmmaker? Because it is quite a leap, especially in terms of financing a movie project, a full length feature film. Tell me a bit about that.
Um, so after working as a journalist for a few years, I realized that I'm not meant to be a journalist because initially I thought I'm not bold enough to be a journalist. But when I look back on it, I realized it's because I don't believe in headlines. I love and I thrive on the deeper conversations. I
Right.
think I have a mind of a philosopher. So journalism was definitely not for me. And I love talking about things that are not there, imagination, speculating, thinking about the characters, which this was something that always intrigued me.
Hmm.
And I was looking for a transition from journalism to something else. And during that time I met Nilesh Mishraji, and I started writing for with him in his
Right.
company. But I had not written anything before that. I mean, fiction writing is completely different from a news story or a feature.
It is.
But somehow found it very comfortable. I think writing came naturally to me,
Hmm.
and from there films are not that far from writing, because you just have to uh, I don't know. I mean, you already have the vision. When you are writing the story, the scene, the characters inside out. It's just one step ahead of it. Of course, there are a lot of technicalities involved, but I think it was the logical next step from writing to filmmaking.
Right. I'm also curious about raising money because at the end of the day, everything boils down to how you finance it. Uh, how did you go about that? Did you pitch it to producers or you pooled in from friends? How did it happen?
Uh, So, producing a film is something really, really difficult at this time, and especially when I was making the film during the COVID time.
Right.
Uh, People were not sure about whether the word is going to, remain the same or not. So, people were not spending money, any money.
Sure.
So, I had no option to get an outside producer. Initially I thought of making a short film because I really wanted to send something out there. So I wanted to do a short story, so I thought I have enough money to make a short film. It started from there. But when I kept writing, and after some time I realized it's not a short film, it has to be a full length feature film, and now comes the money part.
Right.
So then I started borrowing from people, from my
Okay.
husband, my mother. My mother, thankfully, she got retired during that time, and she had some money coming in. She helped me a lot. My brothers, friends, everybody who I could borrow. So it was completely
I see.
self-financed movie. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
that's remarkable because it's a tough call. In my mind, I would have made at least 10 movies, full length feature films,
Yes.
including short divisions. It's all done in my mind.
Right.
But the problem is funding it. In fact, that's why I was curious to know. Coming to you come from the mountains. We were talking about that. Mountains have a pace to them. It's very leisurely. It's almost deceptively leisurely, especially in the Himalayas.
Mhm.
Every time I travel to the Himalayas, I feel lulled into sort of complacency. That if the world is all right. Given that milieu and the fact that you were born there, you're very used to that area. I'm interested to know what kind of conflicts people growing up there, for someone like, say, a girl like Latika, who's the fictional character in your movie.
Right.
What kind of conflicts do they have? Because urban people, I don't think they realize that in a leisurely, beautiful place, people can have conflict. So let's talk a bit about that.
Okay, so first of all, I think the hills, Uttarakhand, to be precise, has two side of it. One
Hmm.
side that you see from microscope, which I see because I lived there, grew up there, and there is one hills that you see from binocular. So when you go there as a tourist, you see it from the binocular. You see the beautiful mountains, the like the leisurely feel that you said,
Right.
and the beautiful landscape, beautiful places, peace, happiness, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for people living there, it is a whole new different mountain, because the struggles are immense, and especially the time when I was growing up. We apart from the mental, I'll come to the mental limitations again later, but physically it is so difficult to live there, because there was no water when we were growing up. There was no water. There was we used to go to local water sources, which was again 1 kilometer straight down you have to walk, and then you fill up your vessels and you come back on that hill every day all our lives. The water tanker used to come, and there used to be a long line of vessels. People are standing so that the water they can fill the water. The situation is slightly better now, but it's more or less the
Right.
same. The schools are not there. I was not able to, the first time I was introduced to an English language was in 6th class, and I was introduced uh, as an ABCD. That's what that I learned that in the 6th class. There was only one school all of us used to go. My schooling has been really challenging, because
Hmm.
I always had a mind of I had a curious mind.
Right.
But uh, in our GGIC, the government inter college, we did not have science faculty.
I
So
see.
girls were basically forced to study whatever is available there, and I wanted to study science.
I see.
So I somehow gathered the courage and went to the government inter college, where thankfully the science faculty was there, and they promised us, me and three other girls, and they promised us they will let us study there. So but the time when we went there for admission, they took their words back. They did not
Oh,
want to
really?
have, because it was a boys college. There were 1,000 boys and we were four girls. There was no girl women staff, and they knew that they will not be able to cater us. And even after that, we somehow got the admission, because we called the authorities, and they kind of helped us. We got an admission, but it was really really difficult all the time, because
Yeah.
we used to sit in the class, and if there is a teacher is not coming, and that used to happen quite often, and teacher is not there in the class, the boys would choose to sit in the class with us, and they will make comments,
Right.
and
Right.
all sorts of things, and teachers will comment on us,
Oh,
that we are
you-
creating this situation.
you're the cause.
yeah, we are the cause
Yeah,
of everything. I mean, we
yeah,
could not sit
absolutely.
in the class, we could not go outside and
It's
sit.
so typical. Yeah,
Yeah. And then I wanted to study math somehow. I
I
feel,
see.
I have a very sharp brain when it comes to logic, but I was not allowed to take maths. My teacher categorically said कि बड़े होकर के तो बेलन ही चलाना है, मैथ्स पढ़ के क्या करोगे, and this was
क्या
his
बात है?
dialogue.
अच्छा,
Yeah.
सीधा
And
ही आपको ऐसे बोल दिया
या,
उन्होंने?
या, सीधा. और ये होता था, मतलब ये तो बहुत
अच्छा,
छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं. सो व्हेन यू when you are born in a small
right,
town, India, and when you are middle class also, and I'm not talking about the middle class of today, because
right,
today middle class can afford a lot of things, but when
indeed.
we were growing up, when we were young, the middle class actually was the lower class, below lower class, I would
I
say,
agree.
right? And you are a girl, so you're supposed to do things in a certain way, you are supposed to say certain things, you are supposed to live a certain way. And I did not find myself part of this. I knew that there is more to the world, because the ideas used to come in my mind, but and there were a lot of questions about the society, about bigger things, spirituality also, science and everything, but there was nobody who I could ask these questions, and nobody who would understand the questions, let alone answering them.
Right,
So, but Latika, coming to Latika was different than this. So Latika was a girl for who the world was very small. She
right,
was for her word. For her the world was her neighborhood, her house,
right.
where everything is hanky dory, everything is nice, because she never thought that she need to ask for something. The things were very it was understood, if there is a ladka, if there
Yeah,
is a boy, you will you will call him dada, so he
okay.
cannot be anything else. He will be brother, right? He cannot
Right,
be anything else. Your life is a certain way. But when she you know got into a situation where things were uh, different, where when she really needed people around her to trust her, to be there for her, to stand for her, she realized that there is absolutely nobody in the world. The father, the parents were same, they were the part of the society
right,
who was doing wrong to her, and they were like that, they were scared. And so yeah, so that's about
right.
it.
From reading the synopsis, I mean, unfortunately, I haven't seen the full feature as yet. At some point, I will. But from what I have read in terms of your interviews, etc., and seen, it mentions that a lot of the decisions were typically made for her. And suddenly, overnight, when she gets into a marriage situation, she is expected to know everything about sex, and she's supposed to be this resplendent sex goddess that she has to become. Now,
Yes.
it's quite an interesting twist to the plot coming from a small town in the Himalayas. Did you have in your mind when you were writing the film? Did you think in terms of how the immediate community that you were familiar with might react to something like that?
um, I did not actually, because writing means expressing what you want to. You
Right.
cannot think about what people's view or perspective will be about what you have written.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Uh, Frankly, I don't think the situation is exactly the same now,
Yeah.
because the things, because of the internet and everything is accessible, the situation is a little bit different than what it was for Latika.
Yeah.
But it's still true. So there is a dialogue in the film where Latika tells her friend कि पूरी जिंदगी लोग ये कहते रहे कि लड़कों से बात मत करो, उनके पास मत बैठो। मैं कभी किसी लड़के के इतना नजदीक भी नहीं बैठी थी जितना मैं तुम्हारे बैठी हूँ अभी, और अचानक से वन डे यू एक्सपेक्ट कि
Right.
यू नो Suddenly you cannot do that. In fact, me, for example, I never had a boyfriend because I could not have.
Right,
It's not that I was not infatuated
right, right, right.
towards boys. I was, but by the time I left, the hills, I was not allowed. It's not.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, it was unthinkable. I remember I had, I was infatuated towards a guy, and he also, I know, liked me, but we could not have any other relationship to be
right.
talking. So it was unsaid. He became my brother, and we used to write letters to each other as a brother and sister.
Hmm.
What else could we say? I mean, we were just
Right,
asking for each other's well-being. How are
right,
you?
right,
What happening? That's that sorts of things. But it was the only place where we could actually talk, to be a brother and sister. And I remember one day, this guy sent me a letter. He used to live in our town, but then he
hmm,
moved to some other place. I remember one day he wrote me a letter, and my father got it, and he opened it.
right.
He must have read it, and finally he sent it to me. And it just broke my heart, because in my head I was the most adarsh beti one can have. I was that
So,
kind of person. I was
right,
very
right, right, right,
responsible. I was taking care of my three brothers because my mother used to work. So uh, at a very early age, I had started taking care of my brothers. I used to do everything, household
right.
chores, my study, their study, and everything. And my father didn't believe me. But and it really broke my heart. I was like, there is nothing that has been written in this letter. I mean, what a guy could write to me, and
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if he had, you should have trusted me. So I
No, this is
still
quite
remember this, and I
remarkable.
still,
It's quite
yeah.
remarkable that you felt guilty about doing something which was perfectly normal.
Yes.
I mean, that's quite a story. I'm so glad you shared it. Uh, does Latika have some autobiographical element from your life, or she doesn't?
um, Not really. I mean, in terms of story, no. But
In
and
terms of
I
her
think
mental makeup, some of the way she reacts emotionally to things, is there
I
any?
think but the nuances, definitely, they do come
Okay,
from the personal experiences.
right.
But Latika is really different from me, because she is a happy girl growing
Okay.
up. I was not.
Oh,
I'm a happy woman, but I was not a happy girl.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, but Latika
Interesting.
was really happy in her life. She
Okay.
didn't make life complicated, at least before she was forced into something, these kind of situation. But
Right.
she was a happy girl. She had a positive point of view about everything.
Right.
That's why it's more heartbreaking to see Latika going through all that.
Right. Right. When you were making the film, since it's your debut as a filmmaker, what
Mhm.
kind of challenges in terms of technical challenges? Because cinema is very technical.
Right.
Cinematography, especially lighting
Hmm.
it, the light in the mountains, the way mountains are in terms of, because it's spectacular lighting. So
Yeah.
it's almost tempting to make things too beautiful, even if the scene is not. How
True.
did you deal with those challenges?
True. So first of all, when I decided to make films, I had absolutely no idea how films are made.
Right,
I don't have a, filmmaking knowledge. I have never been to a film school. I did not know anybody who had actually made a
right,
film. I had never been to a film set, and I did not know technicalities at all. So everything was really intimidating.
hmm,
uh, we had to cancel the shoot, and thank god we did, because it's not just technicalities behind the camera, but in front of the camera also, because I took auditions online initially, and then
right.
when I called the cast
I
to
remember your Facebook posts on that.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I called them to Almora, And I realized that they are way off. They are so different than what I had imagined in my head. And we were going to shoot in 15 days, and I did not have a cast. I had only the main lead, which I was always very sure about,
Hmm.
but I had to change the entire cast, and I had only 15 days. But thankfully, uh, or unfortunately, the COVID second phase happened, and we had to postpone the shoot. I kind of, had a few months then to reshoot. So in that time, I found the cast,
Okay.
and it was really, I mean, I'm really glad, and somewhere now I have started believing in a bigger power, because if you really really want something, things happen for you. And I found beautiful Palvi doing
Right.
Latika and Sonal ji and everybody else. But the first day of shoot, we, because like I said, I did not have a technical knowledge.
Right.
So I did a lot of course just to understand the color theory,
No.
to understand the music theory, how music will be there. And now people are saying that the costumes are beautiful. I know how many nights I could not sleep because I did not know what my stylist or the costume designer is giving me, because I could not visualize it, because I had never seen it that ways. People were sharing, even the art director, they were sharing me the shade cards that this will be in this frame,
Right.
and they expected I would know, I would visualize from the shade card. But for me it was something that I had never seen. So I had to study a lot every day. I was doing something or the other. But when the first day of shoot, so for that, I did the short division also in a way, storyboarding in a way
Right.
that I used to click pictures, photographs of the location of each and every shot. And we had a beautiful storyboard. I mean, thankfully, AJ was able to picturize it exactly like the storyboard.
Mhm.
But when we were shooting the first scene, it was a big scene and many people involved. So we needed a little more time. But the problem came because when we were shooting, sorry, when we were taking the pictures for the storyboard, we were using a different camera. It was a smaller one,
Right.
a still photography camera. And the film camera is bigger. I did not account for the space that
Okay.
it's going to take, and the
Yeah.
cameraman will be behind it, and all my shots, they were not doable. And we were like, I had, and because it was first day, I was very nervous. I had no idea how to change the shots now. Okay, so what
Right.
will be my master shot, from where do I take the next shot? And it was in my head. I was really really nervous, very. I thought I'm not going to, I'm not being able to do this film. But somehow, the shots, I mean, this was the worst scene. This is the worst scene in the film, visually, because I
Okay.
obviously we were not able to do it
Right.
properly. But still, the scene somehow happened, and the first day shoot was smooth. But about the lights, when you haven't worked on set, you don't realize how intimidating it can be. The lights in the hills is beautiful,
It
but
is.
it is the worst light to shoot during the day.
It is.
And
Yes.
so open, we did not have those large size chimaras, for shade, because obviously it was very expensive. We could not afford a big chimara.
Right.
So we had to face a lot of challenges because of that. Then we were shooting in the hills, smallest of the noise on the other sound of other side of the mountain will
We'll
affect.
travel back. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, see,
these
this
kind of
is
challenges were there.
this is remarkable. I mean, you basically learned on the job.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, but think about it now that when you look back and you wonder why you were so unsure, you may have a chuckle saying that, oh, it's not as difficult as I thought it would be. The next one would be, I'm sure, far more smooth sailing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So frankly, I feel it was good that I was naive.
Hmm.
If I knew, making film is still easier, the next step which I am going through right now, it's hell, another
Yeah, I
story.
can imagine that.
Yeah, but if I had known all these things, I might not have gathered the courage
Right.
to, jump into the sea. So it's good that I did not know.
Yeah.
And, but, in my head, I always believe in a process. I know I'm, not trying to be humble or anything, but I don't think I'm that talented. The only thing that I have is I'm the most hardworking person that I know,
Yeah,
and
I mean
I
it's
never give
it's
up.
no, but it's okay to say that one has talent. I mean, I don't see that as an immodest statement because you made a feature film and you made a feature film that was liked by more than one person, namely you. Which see, that's how I judge any piece of art. If one person other than you warms up to what you put out, it's success. The rest is then a question of commercial success,
Yeah,
etc.
that's true, that's
Yeah,
true, but see, some people, I really envy those people, but they have talent from the beginning, and they maybe sharpen it or something. But I have no regret, and I have no complaints, because
no,
I know
true, but
the
look at
process.
it this way. Look at it this way, Kanchan. You
Hmm.
mentioned that you learned the alphabet in the sixth grade. I learned the alphabet in the eighth grade when I'm much older than you are. We were
Yeah.
mercifully English was always in my family. It was
Hmm.
very widely read. So alphabet. I mean, I was already at a very higher level by the time I came to. But from for you from there to be given the best directors award at a festival in Spain, just think about the arc.
Oh no, I
No,
just
that's what I'm saying. So you don't have to be modest about it at all. You
no,
have
I love
every
my
reason.
journey. I
Yeah,
love my journey, frankly, and somewhere I believe, you just need to know what you want to do.
right.
How is none of your business, because the next step always comes in front of you. So this
Absolutely.
has been my story all my life,
No, that's
and
wonderful.
yeah. So I, right now also, I don't know my next step. I just say that I'm doing this. You
So
know,
you do want to make another feature film after
Oh,
this?
of course, I'm already working on a couple of them actually.
Oh,
So
I see.
I'm writing one script, and I'm helping a
Okay.
writer to finish the script of the other one. And we are also in talks with producers. I'm hoping,
Oh,
next
that's nice.
year, yeah, we'll
And
be.
are you going to predominantly focus on themes from that part of India, or it doesn't have to be that?
No, it's I don't believe in geographies
Right.
in that ways. I mean, geographies are just geographies. The story has to be universal. For me, it really doesn't matter if I'm from Uttarakhand. So I should definitely make films from Uttarakhand. But I also believe that Uttarakhand is so big and it has so much to offer,
Indeed.
not just as a location, but the culturally, the social nuances, not only in a positive way or in a negative way. I mean, there's a lot Uttarakhand has to offer, and
Yeah.
it was not explored. So I'm trying to show that part of the world also, but I'm not focused
Right.
entirely on Uttarakhand.